Okay, hi everyone. I'm at worksheet 10E on page 5, work example 2. And we're working on this kind of questions, which is application of ASTC. Given that you are given a trigonometry ratio, this case you're given cosine theta equals to negative 4 over 5. How do we figure out sine theta and tangent theta? Okay, in fact, find the exact values without the use of a calculator per se. Okay, so in fact, I can find the sine theta and tangent theta values without actually finding theta. So the entire question can be solved without finding the angle itself, right? Okay, so what are we given over here? Two information. Number one, we're given that cosine theta is negative 4 over 5. So we're given the ratio of cosine theta. We are also given that the angle theta is between 180 to 270. So where does that make the angle lie in? So 0 degrees is here, 90 degrees is here, 180 degrees is here, and 270 degrees is here. If you are between 180 to 270 degree, it means that you actually lie in the third quadrant, right? So you are told that cosine of theta equals to negative 4 over 5. And we learned previously that the angle is actually related to the corresponding basic angle. Okay, so cosine theta is equals to the alpha or the basic angle at that point. And if we then draw a right angled triangle, okay, and then we will be able to identify the sides of this right angled triangle, or rather the ratio. So cosine is equals to adjacent cosine of the angle is equals to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So based on the basic angle, the adjacent is here, negative 4, and the hypotenuse is 5. Okay, so why is the negative sign with the adjacent and not with the hypotenuse? Because hypotenuse is the length of the line, is always going to be positive, whereas for the adjacent, it lies on the x-axis. So this, as you can see, this lies in the negative region of the x-axis. This part is negative, right? So that's why the sign is negative. All right, and also we know that by ASTC, in the third quadrant, cosine is actually negative. So you shouldn't be surprised to see this negative sign. In fact, if there's no negative sign, the question is wrong. Okay, that means it is definitely going to be negative. If you don't see the negative sign, that means if I cancel this negative sign out, and I tell you that this theta is 180 to 270, then I'm feeding you wrong information. Alright? So it's not surprising to see the negative sign. Well, but this negative sign also indicates that we are on the negative region of the x-axis. So it's, if you go by the length, it's just 4 units. Okay? Alright, so if this is 4 units and the hypotenuse is 5 units, then the height of this right angled triangle will be 3. Right? You can easily find that using Pythagoras theorem. So now with this, we can then figure out what is sine theta and what is tangent theta. Okay? So let's look at sine first. Well, we all know that sine is equals to, we know that sine by Picasso, right? Sine is equals to opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, so the sine of the angle theta, the theta is a very big angle, between 180 to 270. But we know that it is equals to the negative of the corresponding basic angle. Okay, so why negative? Negative because in the third quadrant, only tangent is positive. So sine is also negative, right? And then because by opposite over hypotenuse, this opposite is 3, hypotenuse is 5. So this is negative 3 over 5. So that's the answer. Okay, now we move on to tangent. Now tangent, we know that tangent at this quadrant is positive. So this tangent is just directly equals to the tangent of the corresponding basic angle. And in this case, opposite over adjacent, so it will be 3 over 4. Okay, and the value will be positive. Right? So yeah, so that's the answer. Now you can pause the video, or I will stop the video here, and then you can try it too, and then you can watch the next video to check your answer.